go all the way. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Welcome in, everybody. Another week of even strength. We're back. Sam and I on a new night. Not a new night. We're I don't know. We're phoning it in. The playoffs are over for both of us. I got knocked out. I'm out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm phoning it in.
Oh, okay. But just making sure. So, I got knocked out. What's that Wabachunga song? I got knocked down, but I'll get up again. So,
something like that.
Welcome back in, Sammy. We took a hiatus during last week because it was crazy. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. This past week was wild. Every game, 8 o'clock. They really know how to mess with your schedule by
right?
Doing that. But, man, it was awesome. 2 fantastic rounds of hockey.
Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome in, Steve. Brian Wasco Pico Train in the house. We got Matt Carl here. We got Bernie. We got the crew is here. Everybody's hanging out. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for watching hockey with us and watching me lose my mind during Game 6. I had 23 seconds of delight and then a heart-crushing defeat. But we're here to talk some hockey, everybody. I hope everybody's having a wonderful week. Dallas Hockey Girls in the house. Thank you guys for coming in. Thanks for supporting both of our channels while this is all going on. And Sam looks like he's hurting, though, doesn't he? With 12,000 views. Like, geez, dude, you're killing it. It's like super proud of you.
You know what? It really goes to show what a worldwide game the game of hockey is, right? Because, yeah, I cheer for the Leafs and I'm going for the Canadian teams and you're going for the Rangers and we live in our North American bubble. But as we're going through these streams, and we were just talking about before, you get people, from Russia coming in cheering on the Russian players. We have people from Japan, from Ireland, from all corners of the globe. And it really, really makes you realize how big hockey is.
So just to kind of prove your point, my wife just told everybody to come over. So hi, Aaron, and hi, hello there, and hello, Michelle, and hello, Elaine. They're like, hey, your wife told me to come over. So hockey reaches everybody to the place where they even go, hey, your wife told me to come over from Disney World. So instead of where are you going? I'm coming from Disney. FPE park raid from Jen. Sam Eagle, what's happening? Thank you, everybody, for coming on over, saying hey, hitting that like button. And thanks for supporting Jen on FPE at the same time. But you're not wrong. We had a lot of folks from overseas, Russia, and some of the other places coming in. Lorna, hello. Stevie Lee, hello. Journey Awaits, hello. Everybody's coming in. Hi, everybody. We had a ton of people come over. Now, for me, a ton of people is 400 views. For you, it's 12,000. We're not actually using the same system. I think yours is on metric. But yeah, it's been a wonderful playoffs. So let's dive into it and let's ask the question because we all know Dave's more than slightly biased. What'd you see in my series?
So the first 2 games, we saw a Tampa Bay team that hadn't played hockey for 8 games, and they were getting back into it. They didn't have their legs. They just weren't all there, and the Rangers took full advantage of it. So much so that we all thought this potentially could be a sweeper of 5-game series. Going back into Tampa, Sam dives into it. He'll be called for embellishment. Nice bird.
That was great.
Going into the next couple games back in Tampa, they had their lines going. They really did well matching that Cirelli line against the top line of the Rangers, and I think they played far better than anyone would have expected they would in terms of a shutdown defensive style game. And the Rangers couldn't recover. They got frustrated, they got tired, and ultimately it wasn't the pretty goals that won. It's the throw the puck at the net and see what happens type of goals that won Tampa that series.
So tell me this, because I started screaming in Game 3. Okay, now Game 3 was pretty even through the first period and a half, and about halfway through the second period, Tampa started playing dirty, and there were some nasty hits. There was some running the goaltender. They were in Shesterkin. They hit him 4 or 5 times. Gallant was even said afterwards, he had contacted the head of goaltending, and said, this, you can't do this. So here's my question. Christina, hello there. Welcome in. And Mikey Wheeler. Welcome. Here's the question that I really have. Pillow Hands. Does he serve a purpose on Earth playing hockey anymore?
No, it's I was kind of chuckling to myself watching him play. It's like he'd wait for the whistle, and then he'd kind of like go at somebody, but almost wait for the ref to get in between so he couldn't really go at them. And he's all just mouth talking. He's a role player that doesn't really know what his role is. I know what his role is. His role the last 2 games was sweatpants and popcorn holder. So I'm hoping that, look, the Rangers signed him to a 2-year, $1.2 million per year deal. I don't know what our ramifications are of cutting him. But I think he's taking the spot of a young person. I know that, I went and I did my homework on my AHL team. I know that there's 3 or 4 people that could easily come up and fill the role of 35 seconds on the ice twice a period, and can actually fight, though. The other side of it is there are a lot of free agents that are already being talked about. And you got to start to wonder. We've got some people that are going to go. Strome is gone. Reeves, I hope, is gone. So we have some holes. We need some pieces to be filled. There were a lot of things that were shown, like not being able to compete on faceoffs. We need some more grit. But you have to admit one thing. There's a lot of people out there that are going to say, well, wait a minute. This team's posed for a run. They went to the 3rd round first year. This is a team that's not going to go away for a couple of years. We're filled with youth. You got to imagine, and tell me your opinion on this, some of the older veterans, some of the people who really can score, who can make a difference, who can stand up and play that gritty game. Is New York an attractive destination for them now? I think New York's always an attractive destination because it's New York. I mean, they also just signed your favorite all-time player to a 1-year deal in Kravtsov.
That's just so we can trade him.
Yeah. No, I think New York's a good destination. One of those, they're a competitive team almost every year. They have such a storied history. You got MSG. They're a place free agents want to go in.
Christina.
When you make it to the 3rd round, yes, you have that gumption, right? That bat signal that says, hey, come here, come here. And with guys like, Hedl exploding and Lafreniere actually learning how to play, and even Capo Caco at times, flashes of some good hands. So there is a bright future there. It's unfortunate, Strome, I don't really know what was up with him towards the end there. He kind of coming and going. Clearly he was hurt with something. I think the Rangers' downfall, besides being tired, was that they were a little too predictable. You knew every time they got on the power play where that puck was going. Zibanejad, top of the circle for the one-timer. And as soon as Tampa took that away, they had not they couldn't score 5-on-5 goals.
Well, the biggest problem was even on the power play they stopped scoring. And Bernie, that's 100% accurate. You're welcome. Love when Brendan Shanahan played for the Rangers. Christina pulling out the Brendy. Bernie, pulling out the smart move for the one-way deal. And you're exactly right. Someone is going to claim him so that this way we can clear the books. It's a smart move by the Rangers. I would say this, regarding, what you're talking about is, first of all, Stromer, it was a castration issue. And I can't. You know what? It's a good thing we're on sports and I can get away with that. But there's something, and I was losing my mind over this. Everyone kept hearing me. I call it circling the wagons, and I don't know what other people call it, but when you're in playoff mode, and the Rangers did it all year, so I watched it. If I didn't watch it for 80 games, I wouldn't have been nearly as pissed as I was, but they were standing around on the power play.
Yeah.
And the Rangers were famous for going behind the goal line and circling out, and they would circle through, and it looked like wagon wheels. So the goaltender has to be focused not only on where the puck is, but who's moving around on the ice. And it usually left Mika sitting in his office by himself. And the pass from Fox over or Panarin over was almost always tape to tape, and it was a slap shot in, and it was beautiful. And then you also had, if you came across that middle zone from the blue line, you had Kreider in front of the net. Kreider stopped parking his big butt right in front of the net. And I was like, I don't get it. And as Bernie said, I would have scratched Strome in game 6. There's a couple of people I would not have played. And, I went into armchair quarterbacking mode before the game, and I was like, okay, I wouldn't have played Reeves. I wouldn't have played Rooney. I wouldn't have played Strome. Me personally, I know it's a must-win game, okay? And I'm going to get absolutely raked over the coals for this comment. But there are some kids that came up during the year that played excellent hockey. I would have given them the chance. I would have taken Braun, who did nothing in the series. He was an absolute waste of space. 61 Braun, defense. I'd have brought up Zach Jones. Let the kid get in, get some playoff experience. The one thing you watched from Philip Hedl was he came into his own. He learned playoff hockey. Shesterkin during the Penguin series got killed. He didn't understand playoff hockey. It's an expression, Bill. You had Lundqvist and I just drew a blank. Who's my goaltending coach? Benoit Allaire. You had two of the best people to coach him through it, and look how he responded. So once you get to that place that the team is stale, if you're tired, you have a taxi squad. Bring in the taxi squad kids. Let them play a little bit. If you're going to go into game 7, have a couple of rested guys. Help out your veterans. Roll all 4 lines. But when you have Pillow Hands, who's literally, he's doing donuts on the ice, trips over his skates, and then skates off, our 4th line was completely ineffective. I mean, just completely. It was horrible.
Yeah. And I think Shesterkin, if it wasn't for Shesterkin, those scores in the last couple games would have been way higher, because Tampa, they had a tremendous amount of chances, and the quality of saves he was making was to the moon and back. It was insane how good he was. And it's unfortunate, those kind of long distance knuckle pucks from the point, off the knee, you can't see it because it's past 4 guys and in the net happen that way. But Shesterkin, showed what kind of a true he was.
I must have played that chant about 60,000 times. I was like, I had to go out and make a recording of Igor, because this man played some of the best hockey. If they do not hand him the Vezina Trophy, it is an absolute tragedy across the board. This, and Bernie put in, if it's not for Shesterkin, Rangers are a wild card team at best. And I think they're a wild card. I think they were a wild card team. I think they would have gotten into the first round. Georgiev is a marginal goaltender. He's got his spurts like a backup would. I don't know who we would have had in place of Shesterkin. I don't know how our season would have been. Does our defense play a little lax because we know that we have him in the net? I don't know. But when you have that ability, and his puck handling is phenomenal. I just think that Bernie had put in at one point about the stats about it being 19 games in 38 days. I think they got tired. I think that, they just ran out of gas. I think that's also where coaching comes in a little bit, where you realize you got to roll a little differently. You got to do things you normally wouldn't do. I think you bring in your 5th and 6th D and rotate them out a little bit. Give your guys an opportunity to rest. Again, I'll get hammered for some of those comments later, but
yeah, and not to take anything away from Tampa. Tampa just seemed to get stronger and stronger and stronger as it went on. Yes, they got really chippy at moments. There was a lot of penalties that probably could have been called on both sides.
Agreed.
But I think Tampa, man, they just showed to want it more. And when they had, I forget which game it was, but when they had that goal, and they've done it so many times where they score like with 30 seconds left or 45 seconds left to take the lead, it just takes all the wind out of your sails, and it's so hard to regroup and come back from that.
The biggest problem that I saw, though, and you said it because when we did one of the raids on your stream in between periods, the Rangers just looked flat. They looked tired, and I kept saying it was like they just didn't want it, and I think that some of it is. I don't think you can play every game 7s. I don't think you can go in, and nobody's even counting in the first round of the playoffs. We played 2 games. That triple overtime was insane. So that's an additional game. That's 8 games. That's not 7. I think you have Lindgren hurt. I think that you have guys that are playing at that point injured, and that also takes something out of them. And I mean, Tampa. Look, I have to say this. I may be extraordinarily biased, but I told you this going into the series. Tampa was my number 2 team. I've dropped them as my second team, and I'll tell you why. I think they're a cheap team. I think that they play incredibly cheap. I don't think that they get called for a lot of those things. Everybody wanted to. It's funny. It's like Bernie knows I'm about to go somewhere. I was just about to say, everybody wanted to say something about the Trouba train. But the simple truth is, Jacob Trouba's hits are clean. They do a lot of dirty stuff I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that it really looked like in Game 5 that they gave them that game. They gave it to them. The refs just gave it to them. And, I mean, how you call that penalty on, was it Game 4? I'm not even sure anymore. Where you call that penalty in the opening minute and a half on Ryan Reeves, I can't get there. I can't get to some of the penalties. Like you get a cross-checking call and you call both guys and it goes 4-4. The guy got cross-checked and hit the ice. Like, come on. There was just too much of it. I know we're getting to predictions in a minute, so I'll hold my next comment. But
let's just say throwback to round 1. I know exactly how you feel.
I said it 10 times. I'm like, this must be how Sam felt. I said, because they're literally, look, Bernie's in here too. There's the 3 of us that are sitting here. All of our teams went down to Tampa, and none of us feel like we should have. Now, I went 6 games, and again, I think you take the officiating, and you can play the what if card. And the what if card is, if they don't score that goal or if they call that penalty, the game is different, and it is different. The momentum shifts, and you don't get that overwhelming tsunami effect, if you will, of power play, goal, penalty kill. Like, you don't get those momentum builders. The game can get the other way. And to Bernie's point, the rules are different every 5 minutes. There's no consistency how it goes, and I think it needs to be addressed in the offseason. I think that they need to do a better job on it. But that's Tampa, that's Rangers. How about them Avs?
And man, the Avs, they've seen their share of controversy too. I think every series has had, whether it's a bad offside, a high stick, not running the goalie, whatever it is. But man, those Avs. So if we start looking towards prediction time, they've been sitting an awfully long time, much like Tampa did in the first round. Can the Avs get it together? Can they show up Wednesday night and make a game of it? Or is Tampa going to run out, full steam ahead? It's going to be really interesting. The Avs in that last series, man, they looked so good. They looked so good.
Well, and it's I'm going to compare the Avs series a lot to the Florida Panthers series. Some of it was they look really good. Some of it was, again, bad officiating. I mean, there was a lot of that went on. I look at it. What's up, Mike and Steph? I look at this and go, what are we talking about? We're talking about the fact that the hit on Kadri. I mean, he's got surgery on his thumb now. They're not really talking about it. I mean, is he available? I don't even know. I mean, you have surgery on your thumb. You got to be able to grip that stick just right in order to get that shot off.
They're saying he has a chance. They haven't said he's in for game one. Somebody, I forget who it was, somebody on our stream, when they came out and said, okay, they suspended Kane, they said, no, it should be the eye for eye rule. Kane should have to cut off his thumb and give it to Kadri.
I actually said it in my stream. I sat there, and I think I said it to you. I was like, I think that if you knock out a player, I think you should be out as many games as they are. And I think that the eye for the eye hockey rule should be in effect. And Bernie just put in Kadri and Caligliano or game time decisions for game one.
There you go.
And, the thing about it, though, is I look at this and I go, hey, old school hockey, there's a cheap shot. Now, we can debate the hit on the goaltender all you want. Okay, did Kadri run him? It doesn't matter. There's a point at which they had gone after him like 8 times. You can't continuously jump the guy. Right? When is it enough? And this comes back to bad officiating. There needs to be rules. They need to know what's what. I think you're right. The Avs sat for a while. Are they going to be rusty game one at home? Yeah, I think they are. Can they pull it together against the Tampa team, who both teams at this point will have sat for a while because, what is there, 5 days in between games for Tampa?
Yeah, it's a long break.
It's a long break. And so you're talking about Wednesday, being game one. That's why you and I wanted to jump on beforehand. And then there's a 2-day break in between games. They don't play again until Saturday, which is also weird. So the fact that they're going Wednesday, Saturday, I don't think that's good. I think it breaks up the rhythm. Probably benefits Tampa more than the Avs. So let's dive into it. So game one. Let's not even go for the season yet. Let's go for the series. Game one. What are you thinking? Are you thinking Avs dominant last series, or Tampa's on a steamroll? Braden Point's coming back. He's going to be a game changer, and Vasilevsky hole is gonna hold tight.
Yeah, so Point coming back is huge. Kemper coming back from the Avs, also pretty huge. Now, Vasilevsky definitely a better goaltender than Kemper. I think Tampa takes the first game, not by a huge margin. I'm going to go with a 2-goal differential, but I think Tampa's going to take that first game because they're on such a high right now.
Unfortunately, Montreal Steve, I concur. I think that Avs did a sweep. I think they're going to sit too long. I think they're going to come out. I think this now. I'm going to go ahead and give my conspiratorial speech, which it's not that funny. I think that it's been written in the cards. You and I talked about this a month and a half ago. Tampa to three-peat. Why? I think that it's good for I think the NHL thinks it's good for hockey. I think that the NHL wants them to three-peat. I think it's good they think it's good for the market. Avs fans aren't going anywhere. Tampa fans, this is probably their last year. It's probably a last hurrah. They're going to have a ton of problems in the offseason for salary cap. I think Tampa takes the series. I think they're going to take the first game. I think that it's set up perfectly for it because the Avs are at home. I think if they take one away, even if it goes game 7, Tampa wins. I don't think they're going to lose at home. Vasilevsky Hole has been, I think he's a .981 at home. Good luck. You have a very offensive team and a very defensive team. It's a great matchup. So Tampa game 1, they've got the advantage. 2 days off. We're going to go to Saturday. What's your opinion on a 2-day break going to a Saturday game?
So I think this is going to be the game for the Avs. They're going to take this one. They're going to split. Avs are going to go game 2 and in a very commanding fashion. It may not look like they dominated on the scoreboard, but when you look at all the auxiliary stats, I think Colorado's going to have the better game because now they're going to have their legs going. They're going to be back into playoff hockey, and we're going to Tampa 1-1.
So I hate agreeing with you. So because I agree with you, I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to take the other side of it just because honestly, I don't know. The 2 days off is what bothers me. If it was a Friday night game, I would absolutely 100% stick with you and say 1-1 going back to Tampa. I'm going to take Tampa for the second go, and I'll tell you why. Avs only are going to have one game in. We saw it took Tampa 2 games to get moving again. It was the end of the second game where they really started getting going again. I think Avalanche are going to have a similar issue. Tampa's still rolling. That extra day off is not going to hurt them. Their game is back on and set. I think it's just good for them to rest at that point, and I think that they're going to come out on fire. I'm going to take against you just because why not? I'm going to go 2-0 Tampa going back to Tampa. Now, Steve has it as 7. The Avs are 7-0 and on the road. That's a strong point. And, I mean, again, I want to lean towards what Sam said, so don't yell at me, Steve. I happen to agree with him, but that doesn't make the show fun. The other side of it is there is some validity to what I said. It took Tampa 2 games to get going again, and you guys are going to have – you're not going to get back in the step. It's 2 days off back again. So there is the possibility of you guys coming out game 2 soft. And if that happens, I think Tampa's going to dominate the first period and a half, just like the Rangers did. And then you could see the Avalanche come on. It just comes down to how well does Vasilevsky Hole play in that second half of that game as to whether or not you're going to win. But I'm going to take Tampa. So on to game 3, back in Tampa, what are you thinking?
So I'm going Tampa Bay again. Vasilevsky's not going to lose 2 in a row yet again. Colorado is going to try and come off the high they're in, but Tampa's just going to turn it up to that next gear. They're going to come away and go up.
So Tampa's due to lose. They're due for a loss at that point. I think at that point, Avalanche are pissed. It's 2-0 in the way I'm calling it. It's 2-0 Tampa going home. I think that the Avalanche come out like an avalanche, and I think that it's a squeaker, a 1 to 2 goal game difference, and I think I'm going to call Avalanche disrupting Tampa on home ice. Avs take that game 2-1. Tampa still in the lead. Game 4, where are you at? Home ice for Tampa.
Game 4. So Colorado's going to take this one. They're going to split. It's going to be a split in both Colorado and Tampa Bay. They're not going to take losing lightly. It's the finals. They know going into a best of 3, they have home ice advantage. So it's going to be tied up 2-2 going back to Colorado.
And I'm going the other way. Vasilevsky does not lose after losing. Avs lose that game. It goes 2-2 going back, but the other way. And we're going to game 5 back in Avalanche. So here's where it gets ultimately interesting. Game 5, we're back on home ice for Avalanche. Where do you see that one going?
So I'm going to go again. Tampa's going to take game 5. They're going to win on the road. Again, it's that don't lose 2 in a row streak. It's going to continue. And we're going back to Tampa Bay and Tampa has 2 games to close it out.
Now, my hockey gut says one thing. My conspiratorial side says Tampa wins twice in a row, wins 2 more in a row, and because I think the NHL wants them to win. So let me say this. I believe in my heart of heart Tampa's going to win only because the league wants it that way. However, home ice, Avalanche are going to pick it back up. It's 3-2 going back to Tampa, where I believe the Avalanche close it out. I think they're going to finally pitch Vasilevsky a home loss on back-to-back losses and claim it. If that doesn't happen, they claim it in 7. But that's just my opinion.
So you're saying Colorado wins it in 7?
If you don't have the NHL involved in the game, yes. If with the way it's currently stacked, I think they want Tampa to 3-peat.
So I'm very similar. I think it goes back to Tampa for that game 6. Colorado, in my version, wins it. It comes back to Colorado for game 7. I think it's going to be a game 7 overtime.
I do too. Damn it. See, there's a part of me that wants to just agree with your schedule. The problem is I just know the fact that everything that I watched in your series, in Bernie's series and my series, they're cheating for these bastards. I just can't get on board with the fact that if it's pure hockey, Avs beat them. The Avs beat them.
Well, here's my overtime scenario. All right.
Oh no. Vasilevsky goes out with a knee injury.
Avs go in. Kadri scores the OT winner. The celebration is going off. They say no. They challenge it. Goaltender interference call. They wave off the goal. Puck is dropped. Braden Point, the most well-rested of all, right down the ice on the very next play and scores. Tampa wins it.
Hold on. Do you believe in miracles? So, look, it's fun. I would love to see that, by the way. The problem that I have is if I didn't watch what happened to your series, if I didn't watch what happened to Florida, if I didn't watch what happened to the Rangers, I would agree with you. I would sit there and say, I would almost call Avalanche in 6, and I kind of am. I just believe that the league wants the 3-peat because I think they think it's good for hockey. The Avalanche organization being in the finals, Avalanche are going to come back next year. They're going to be there again. Tampa's at the end. It's like any good dynasty. When they know it's over, they get one more hurrah. The next day, Sam goes down to play the lottery and still only wins $3 Canadian.
I think that's about the most I've ever won in the lottery.
That'd be great, though. So, in that sense, the only thing I can say is my heart of hearts, I believe Avalanche wins. Do I believe that that's the way the league is going to let this go? I'm having a hard time with it. I just am. And if we do straight up matchups, Tampa's got the goaltending. There's no doubt about that. I just watched this guy now, and in all fairness to the Rangers, they stopped shooting the puck at him. So, half the time I thought he had a coffee cup in his hand. So Christina G, hello. He's a great goaltender. I watched what 2 great goaltenders did. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun to watch. The difference between the Rangers and the Avalanche is the Avalanche have the weapons.
Yeah. And
they're not going to let up. They're not tired. This is 2 teams that are this is a good series. This is going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to call. I think look, you can play great defense all you want. They put 100 shots on net, they're going to score.
Yeah, I think that's what I think. If the NHL, knowing that it has these 2 powerhouses coming out, they want this to be a long series because it's going to draw eyeballs.
Yeah.
And this is going to be really, really good for the game of hockey. If you had a St. Louis in there and Edmonton and Minnesota, it doesn't
over
draw.
5.
This is two teams that nationwide, whether you're in Canada, the US, or around the world, you have people that are invested in these players.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky, so many people for Vasilevsky. Stamkos, you got in there. Point, people want to see that success story, see him coming back. You have McKinnon, who's just on fire. People love him. You have Makar, the young stud who's really just blowing up. There's so many storylines to watch.
Moron with 4 cups with 3 teams.
Yeah. Oh,
Pat
gosh.
Moron. I mean, come on. Now here's why I agree with you and why it sucks that you're right. You started off with saying because it's good for the NHL. That's not what's right. Because it's going to put more asses in seats and more dollars in pockets and raise the salary cap, it's good for the NHL for it to go to Game 7. Hell, it's good for it to go into 52 overtimes. I don't care. I want it to be what it should be.
When we were calling the Colorado games, the number of foreign people coming into the chat cheering for Natushkin was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had such a strong fan base. So these individual players are just bringing so much. And with the NHL wanting to go back over to Europe and do their preseason games next year, and with all the focus on the negative focus on Arizona, and I can't let an episode of Even Strength.
Wait, they still have a team?
Unless they've been traded.
Wait, I didn't know that Arizona still had a team.
So I think the NHL needs something good, and they've done so many good things. We've talked about it over and over with the female broadcasting, just how they've embodied so many social issues and brought them to the forefront. Now is the time they could say, not only are we doing it behind the scenes in the office, look at our product on the ice. The 2 best teams are about to compete for the cup. And you can't say that if you have some of the others in there.
And I actually agree with you. I think it is, I said it at the end of the Ranger game. We had a couple of clowns come in, and I'm saying clowns just because I'm pissed. They came in, they wanted to bust my stones a little bit, and it was like, I'm like, just out of curiosity, where's your team? Because we're better than 28 other teams right now. There's 28 other teams eating popcorn, and unless you're one of the 3 teams remaining, shut up. And that was really how I felt about it. But the simple truth, what you just said, the 4 teams that were remaining, I personally believe 3 of them, there are four teams that should have been there. The other one were the Capitals. The Capitals played an amazing series. They played amazingly well. I can't believe they got swept. As a matter of fact, if you remember, I called them as my upset.
Yeah.
I was really upset when they got swept. So, but the bottom line, these are, in my opinion, if the Rangers played the Avalanche and we played that scenario out with the shape that the Rangers were in, the only thing that could have held them in would have been Shesterkin. We just froze.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, my computer froze for a second.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Hi. We lost in 6, not swept. Sorry, Bernie. That's not what I meant. I just meant that, like, in my mind, you guys deserve to win, Bernie. Like, hands down. And my computer was freezing while I was talking, so my bad. You guys literally, you didn't deserve to lose. The Capitals should have been there.
They could have done better if they didn't have some rookie goalie take out their superstar right before the playoffs.
Yeah, well.
I mean,
so I've been kind of simulating in my head if the Rangers had beaten Tampa and it was Tampa Avs and it had gone Game 7, like this would have played out, and there would have been an overtime or something. What would it be like? Personally, I think the Avalanche would have dominated the Rangers. It could have been a sweep. It could have been 4 or 5 games, and it could have been humiliating. Why? The Rangers looked tired. They did not look great at the end, and it showed. This way, you have a team that's rested, another team that's resting. I think this is going to make for a great series. I think you put it best when you said these are 2 of the best teams in hockey. In all actuality, they are the 2 best teams in hockey because they're in the finals.
Yeah. And, there's something, when we talk about Colorado and they, really gave it to Edmonton, but good. When these teams get knocked out, you start hearing the things that are going on. I don't know if you heard, but Edmonton announced Darnell Nurse had a torn hip flexor he was playing with. We were talking as we were watching the games. We're like, why isn't he skating? Why isn't he moving? Now we know why. When you look at Draisaitl playing with that high ankle sprain,
yep.
I was screaming at him, Draisaitl, move the puck. Why are you shying away? Now we know. So, you never know what could come out with some of these Ranger guys over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because as fans, we get so emotionally into it. Like, come on, you're making $8 million, skate, move it. And then you're like, oh, he has a completely torn pectoral muscle. And, you never know what's really going on.
And I don't disagree, because when I was calling the games, and look, the good part about it is you were calling the same game I was. Lindgren, we know, if he's not in a full body cast already, I'm shocked. Strome, you're looking at, there's a lower body injury of some kind, without a doubt. Filipedal, upper body injury, no doubt. You're looking at some of these kids who, but I'm going to pick out the people, and you tell me, because again, it's our show. We can do whatever the hell we want. Panarin, totally ineffective.
Yep. He had his moments. I think he suffered from the McDavid syndrome a little bit. He was going, but his line mates just disappeared on him. And I think he felt like he had to do it on his own.
I see, and I kind of see it a little differently. I see, God bless you, I see a guy who coasted into the playoffs. He was not really on his game. Zibanejad was, in my opinion, was carrying the team going into the series. He elevated his game up during the playoffs. Kreider, in my opinion, disappeared.
I agree.
Kreider just disappeared. He stopped playing positional hockey. He stopped being where he was needed. And then the other person who just vanished off Earth was Adam Fox. Adam Fox, if it came out now, they played him like I think 63 minutes in a 60-minute game. But if it turned out that he was hurt, that wouldn't surprise me.
I know what Kreider's issue was. I figured it out. See, up here in the Great White North, we have a wonderful donut place called Tim Hortons. You may have heard of it. Yeah. And so Tim Hortons, in the app, they have a fantasy hockey thing where you pick 3 players each game, and if they score a goal, you get points. You could win free coffee, whatever.
Right.
So of course, as soon as I start picking Kreider and Zibanejad, the 2 disappear.
It's all your fault.
It was me.
Yeah.
It was me.
I kept telling you not to root for my team, but you just wouldn't listen. And it's funny because Bernie put in, I almost put the C on Lindgren instead of Kreider. Up until the day we finished the regular season, Kreider was my choice all day long. I kept saying it, put a C on his chest, but. I don't know what happened to him. I watched Kreider fall apart. This is a guy who he got beat back on a. Now, keep in mind, the guy's I think he's the 3rd fastest in the league. He got beat back on an icing. Okay. Lindgren, if he didn't bleed every game, hell, he's part of my video, and it says blood, sweat, and tears rolling down my face. That's 2 pictures of Lindgren because he's always bleeding.
Yeah. How many shots on TV of him hunched over in the bench, just looking in agony, and he stepped in front of everything.
He's an incredible player. I signed him to a long-term contract. If I'm the Rangers, he would retire a Ranger, in my opinion. He is a Ranger for life, in my opinion. There are a few people who, I think, were exceptional. I think there were some bonehead plays. I think some bonehead moves. I know Trouba has been picked on the last couple of weeks with his $8 million a year contract. I just love Trouba because he lays out the Trouba train. Other than that, he's an effective defenseman. I don't think he's lived up to his potential. Keandre Miller was phenomenal. A couple rookie mistakes, but he's a rookie. First year playoffs, 3rd round deep. Okay. I can live with that. Shesterkin, Vezina trophy. End of story. The fact that they took Gallant and did not give him coach of the year, and went to Sutter. Really?
Yeah.
So
right, here's something for you.
Yep.
Looking forward to Wednesday's game, the start of the final. I have in front of me the official list, the official rankings of the top. How many players are in here? Top 25. Top 25 fantasy picks for these two teams. You had to pick 5 players. Who are your top 5 that you pick? I want to see how many you get out of these official rankings.
Shesterkin, Ovechkin. No. Okay. So
just skaters.
Yeah, I know, but I want. So you're talking about next game
for between Tampa and Colorado.
Top 5 has got to be. You got to be Niskanen. You got to be Kadri. You got to be Stamkos, Kucherov.
You got one more.
Should I throw in a D? What the hell? Throw McDonough just because it's funny.
All right. You got one of your picks. Here's the top 5 fantasy skaters. Number 1, they're listing Cal Makar as your number 1.
Oh, I forgot about Makar. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
You're going Makar, McKinnon.
McKinnon, 1, I forgot about too. My bad.
Kucherov, number 3. Rantanen, number 4. And Hedman, number 5. Stamkos doesn't even make
Hedman above Stamkos.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's interesting. They're going 3 Colorado and 2 Tampa Bay, and this is put out by the NHL.
I should. Yeah, that tells you a lot. I should have went McKinnon. I forgot to put him in there.
But the one player who's impressed me more than all these big names, the kid, he's not really a kid anymore, the guy who's impressed me throughout the entire playoffs, but really stood out in the Rangers series, is Palat on Tampa.
You mean Splat?
He was skating unbelievably well. He moved the puck unbelievably well. He knows his role, and he played it to a T. He's a guy, I don't know if they're going to be able to re-sign him. I think he's an unrestricted free agent. But he's a guy I think any NHL team would love to have, especially after his performance this year in the playoffs. All right. You want to have some non-playoff fun? Well, no. It is still playoffs, but non-Tampa Bay fun.
Anything that's not Tampa right now is fun for me.
I always love looking at the overall stats of the playoffs and who does what. And when you look at some of these names, it's like, I can't believe that. Like, we know who is leading the playoffs in goals right now. Evander Kane. Evander Kane is also leading in penalty minutes. 37 penalty minutes, 13
I
goals.
actually knew that.
It's crazy. Your second place in goals, it's not McKinnon. It's not Connor McDavid. It's Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman.
Really?
Second place in goals. Yeah, crazy. When you look at assists, you have Draisaitl and McDavid. They're 1-2 in assists. And I believe they were in assists all year behind Huberdeau because Huberdeau had about 1 billion. And then you had Adam Fox in number 3. In total points, again, because you had so many assists from Draisaitl and McDavid, they're 1-2 in total points, but you have Zibanejad. He's in 3rd. And Adam Fox and Kucherov were tied just below him. So that wasn't bad. And there's some of the interesting ones. Plus minus. We know it means absolutely nothing, but it means you're on the ice when you score a lot of goals. Who would your pick, if you pick any player who you think would be leading in plus minus?
I hate to say it because, when you're talking, look, the obvious choices are going to be your top point scorers, right? Because if you're leading the plus, you're going to look at Draisaitl, you're going to look at McDavid, you're going to look at Evander Kane, but you're going to throw a curveball at me, and it's going to be like Bob Schmeckelheimer. So,
you got it, Schmeckelheimer
for the win. And it'll be like maroon.
No, so it is Connor McDavid. McDavid leads the way, but the next positions 2, 3, 4, 5 are all Colorado Avalanche.
So you're talking like McKinnon, Kadri, things like that?
Landeskog, Byram, McKinnon, and Eric Johnson.
See, I wouldn't have picked two of them.
So it just shows Colorado scoring a lot of goals. And again, plus minus doesn't really mean anything.
But that's that offense I was talking about. You know, Vasilevsky can be as good as he wants to be, but if he's getting peppered, if the chances are there and they're moving the puck laterally, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Now this next one you should get power play goals, most power play goals in the playoffs.
I'm always going to go with Zibanejad.
Yeah. He had 6. McKinnon and Kucherov just behind him with 5, and then O'Reilly and Oshie with 4. So it's interesting because Oshie's been out for a while and he's still sitting there with 4. Shorthanded goals, no player had 2, so there's a bunch tied at ones there. We talked about penalty minutes with Evander Kane. Also on that list you have Lucic, Klingberg, Nurse, and Brendan Hagel. And again, Hagel, one of these guys that I've been impressed with throughout these playoffs.
I kept calling him a Hagel with no cream cheese.
Love it. Your time on ice. So this is the interesting category. Your time on ice. Who would you guess your leader in average time on ice is?
I know somewhere up there is going to be Fox.
It is Fox. Fox averaging 26 minutes and 38 seconds.
That's why I said to you, he looked so tired at the end because they were playing him half a game. And I knew he was going to be up there. I knew there'd be a couple. There were a couple really standout people that were playing high. Letang was another one.
Letang is the number one, averaging almost half an hour, 29 minutes and 51 seconds.
That's what I was saying. You had Letang and Fox that were competing at one point to see who could stay on the ice longer.
Yeah,
so
that's insane. The one in between Letang and Fox is Makar, 27:05. And then you have Roman Josi, 26. And considering he only played 4 games, but 26 minutes. And then Justin Falk on St. Louis, 25. And then, of course, the other one here, your game-winning goals. So this is the one if you're counting for bonus points in your hockey pools. Hedl, 3 game-winning goals. Kreider, 3 game-winning goals. Atari Lehkonen from Colorado, also with 3. And Carter Verhaeghe with 3. And then yet again, Andrew Cogliano with 2. So this goes to show when you're in those tight games, if you're looking for someone to pick who's going to score that game winner, Lehkonen or Cogliano, they're both up there on the leading board.
Yeah. Look, this is going to be interesting. This is. I don't even know what to do with this right now. So, holy crap. So, it would not be a stream if we did not talk about the other gigantic elephant in the room. We never talked about Cassidy getting fired. There's still the Torts speculation. There's still a ton of things that can happen outside the hockey verse of hoisting the cup. What's your opinion on Cassidy getting let go?
I was surprised, but not surprised. I'm trying to find. I wonder if I still have it here on my phone. Yeah. So the Bruins are in some trouble for next year. Let's forget about Cassidy going forward.
We talked about this before the end of the season.
Yeah, Marchand is out double hip surgery, so he's gone for a while. McAvoy, he's out with shoulder surgery. Grizzlyak is out with shoulder surgery. If you ever had an injured shoulder, that's going to nag you. So coming back from a shoulder surgery takes a while.
They're all saying that most of the injuries you're talking about right now are Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Riley with an ankle surgery, Bergeron with elbow surgery, and he wins the Selke. So maybe he hurt his elbow hoisting the Selke.
Yeah,
but they have a lot of players that are not going to be around, and apparently Pasternak is very not happy with this Cassidy firing. So that's going to be a very interesting situation to see what happens with Pasternak.
Hi, Jeannie. Yeah, look, I think the Bruins are officially at that point. The question is, a coach that has gone to the playoffs 6 times. He's a 2/3 winning coach, if I remember my stats correctly. It's pretty close, like 200 and something to 100, losses and ties. This is a really good coach. You just fired him when you're about to go through a rebuild, and you're going to have some kind of rebuild with this. There's no doubt. You just pissed off Pasternak on top of it, and you just lost, as Bernie put in, McAvoy 6 months, Marchand 6 months, 5 months, 3 months, Bergeron UFA. So, and now Pasternak, dude, that's 2 full lines.
Yep.
Okay, like,
and Pasternak, what is he? He's 6.666 and 667. He's like, just over $6.5 million. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. So do they look to move him? Is he a potential draft trade guy to get a high draft pick?
And you know who's going to want a Pasternak? I'm sitting over the shield that wants him.
Montreal?
Okay. Yeah. So, but I mean, Pasternak would be a good fit for the Rangers, in the sense of being able to come in. We're looking for a 1 year dominant forward. See how he plays, see if he can fit in, see if he can bring some veteran leadership. It's not a far move, stays in the conference. Plus, again, we do have some trade bait, not only with draft picks, but with young potentials that are sitting on our AHL team ready to come up. They're going to need ready-made players because they're losing 6. So they're going to have some abilities to fill in the gaps, and they're going to have to try and not go in at huge caps, because when these players come back, what do they do with them? So they got to be really careful.
They have just shy of $2.5 million in projected cap space. That's not a lot of money.
So
you have to replace 6
They
players.
can have Kravtsov. I'll swap them out. Kravtsov for and that, by the way, bringing an 875 Kravtsov for the 667 for Pasternak. That's a good deal. Bring in some youth, get him signed up, go long term with him on an entry level contract. Eat some cap space. We take 100% of the hit on the finance. It's a good deal. Now, I'm not going to say we're not going to have to give up a 3rd rounder at the same time, or a 2nd round draft pick, or maybe we're giving up something off of the AHL team as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I just thought that with Cassidy going, I personally thought it was a stupid move. There's a lot of teams out there, that are going to look at this guy and go, and if I'm Florida, you got Torts and Cassidy sitting on the market. I'm looking at one of them, not Torts, Trotz. Speaking of Torts, he's a good fit for Philly. He's a good fit for a couple teams. Who do you think Boston's going to look at to replace? I'm going to throw my first pick out there and see if you agree, just because he's not a typical household name. He was a Ranger head coach. It's David Quinn, former Boston College head coach. You're going to have a lot of youth coming in, and he's got the hometown feel.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. There's some names that are available. Do we see somebody like a Mike Babcock coming back around with his bad reputation? Is he going to be available? Is Rick Tocchet going to be linked to, coming in somewhere? But I personally don't think so. It really depends what Boston wants to get out of their next, kind of call it 2 seasons. Because any coach, you're not going to get a coach who's going to want to come in and, turn a team around and make a big difference, because there's no team to turn around there right now. So it's going to be really tough. Florida, it's interesting with Florida, because Florida, that team, they took the President's Cup trophy. They can win in the regular season. They're a piece or 2 away from being a serious playoff contender. They got through the first round. They couldn't get past Tampa Bay. So I don't know who they they bring in there.
Do you sign Claude Giroux and hold on to him?
I do.
I do too.
100%.
I do
Yeah.
too. And
I think he clicked really well with that squad.
So I agree. Now, the problem that you have is you can't bring in a half-assed coach for this. You can't bring in a guy who doesn't know how to close it out. So the question is, with what's available, who do you put in that spot? Because Bernie's not wrong. There's a couple of low-end coaches that are going to be available for Boston. That's why I put David Quinn in the mix, because why not? He's already got a house there. He's got family there. He's Boston College through and through. I think you're going to be playing with a bunch of AHLers for a lot of the season. Why not bring in a guy who's coached a lot of them? So there's an opinion.
That makes sense.
But
and there's a lot of assistant coaches around the league that are being let go. I think we let go of a couple. There's a bunch of assistant coaches that any one of them would jump at a chance of leading an NHL squad, even if it's,
I think you're going to see one of them wind up with the Red Wings.
Yeah, and they're going to have a good team with Sider and Raymond, and
I think they're Bernie just put in Claude Gillion's also available. I mean, there's a lot of good coaches out there. Because it's not that I have anything against Torts. I just think he's a dinosaur in a world that doesn't want dinosaurs. Like my favorite memory of him, other than the line brawl with the Devils, is him running down the opposite team's tunnel to go fight the coach. That's Torts' mentality. That's not what the NHL wants, but it's a Philadelphia trait. So he would be a great fit there. But you know what
really bothers me more than anything is the one coach who should be on the market looking for another team right now is not. That's Sheldon Keefe.
I was going to say, because there's a lot of teams that have a lot of potential right now, and I don't know. Maybe Trotz says, "Hey, you know what? I can go into Arizona." Sorry, I can't even get that out. I couldn't even get it out.
They play roller hockey, right?
I think that they're playing street hockey. So, basically, when I look at who's fired, who's going where, I don't know. If I'm the best coach out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm still sitting here saying I want the best team that's going to give me a chance to go to the Cup. The only team that's sitting here without a coach right now that finished in the top 8 is Florida. There's some other people who could make some moves. Why would he want to go to Philadelphia? Philadelphia's in a rebuilding phase. Boston's a joke. Montreal, no. You just look up and down that East Coast. You're going to keep going back to Winnipeg because Manitoba. Okay. Could he go there? Sure. Could he go to Vegas? He could go to Vegas. So there are some definite openings. Cassidy is also a good fit for Vegas. So there's a lot of those things, and with the UFAs that are coming and the other free agents, we're going to have some really interesting things to talk about once the season ends and this starts up. And it's almost going to be like when we were kids, and not I can't say when I was a kid. You still have hockey cards. I'm so jealous. It's ridiculous. But we're going to be like trading players, and it's going to be like our draft cards. We're almost going to have to keep track of it to see whether or not we're right. Because as it turns out, you and I were also very much on point with the playoffs. Kudos to both of us. We got more right than wrong, in my opinion. I think we did really well. I think we called Panthers Avalanche, if I remember correctly. And I kept saying Rangers Avalanche. I was almost right. The damn refs. So it turns out a Florida team still went. It's Tampa, which we also said it was a possibility for the three-peat. So we're really close on our picks with that. I think we did really well with where it's going. I'm interested to see what happens with the series. So Wednesday, you're going to be calling game 1. You're obviously calling every game throughout. So am I. So you and I will be doing those things and just kind of going through it. Saturday night, they screwed up even strength next week because they put the damn game on 8:00. So we'll have to figure out what night we're going to do even strength next week if we want to wait till after games 1 and 2 so that we can get an assessment and see where we are. Maybe we'll do it again next Monday. just to kind of see. Or that might even be a game. Probably will be. So it might have to be Tuesday or something. But we'll figure it out. Everybody, stick tight. See what we got coming on. It's going to be Sam, FPEN, and Pete. We're all calling it. Yeah, Monday is game 3. I figured as much. Had to be 2 days. So all of my partner channels are going to be calling the game. You're not going to get bad coverage with any one of us, whether you go to Sam's channel, my channel, Pete's channel. That's going to be key. Sam and I are going to be talking about doing some stuff in the off season. So make sure that you're watching for us, what we're going to be doing in the off season. I'm also talking with Pete about it. We're also talking about the draft already. So there's a ton of stuff coming from all of us content wise. So make sure you're following us wherever you get your news from us, whether it's on social media or on our YouTube pages. Make sure that you're staying in touch because hockey season, folks, we're 14 days out. That's so sad.
That's crazy.
You know what? I'm leaving. You quote. I don't want to do this anymore. No.
The good news. Here, I'll tell you the good news. The good news is we're a couple weeks away from handing out the hardware, having that big celebration. Then there's that big lull. Oh, there's no hockey. Because I don't know about you. After going 10 days every single night calling a game, all of a sudden you got a game off. And we had like 1,000 people messaging me going, "What are you doing tonight? There's nothing going on. I don't know what to do with myself." But hey, that's going to happen. Then we're going to go right into the draft.
Send them to Florida Park Explorers. We're live streaming the Disney parks. Shh.
There you go. Shh. No. Shh. Make
the
noise.
No, tell everybody. You got to love Bernie's version of it, though, right? G-rated is Pete. PG is Sam because of Dallas's foul mouth. PG-13 because of Dave.
It's pretty on point.
Dude, I lost my mind in the last game. I couldn't help it either. I was just happy that I didn't twice. And I don't know because Bernie was in there. So Bernie, you'll have to tell me. Oh, I just froze again. The question is, Bernie, are we still frozen? There we go. I don't know what's going on tonight. My internet's being hinky. So here's, I am getting better, Theo. Thank you, by the way. So Bernie, tell me if you picked up on it because there was twice during the Ranger game in Game 6, I came this close to dropping an F-bomb. It was this close, twice.
Nice.
Twice I had to catch myself. There was one time, Sam, and I have to be honest with you, I went back in my stream and I watched to make sure I didn't.
I only one time. I don't think it was an F-bomb, but I've only sworn, I think once that I know of. Once on purpose. One time I Freudian slipped a word, but when I was opening my Upper Deck Series 1 hockey cards, I pulled my Cole Caulfield rookie and my Trevor Zegras rookie, and that was the time because I was shocked I've got them both. It just came out. But I've had to catch myself a few times during the live games.
I dropped a BS once or twice. I dropped a see, he just put even closer, had some poop emojis, but no F-bombs. But the question is, Bernie, did you hear me almost say them is the question, I guess. Because I literally had to stop. And I was like, that's a
that's why we love hockey.
Well, and it's funny because somebody said to me, they're like, I really wanted more from you on the play-by-play. And I said, I was watching the game. Leave me alone. And it was like, it's not your team. It's my team. I was in, and not to mention, and you know how frustrating it is when it gets sloppy between the blue lines and they're just going back and forth. It's like, and so-and-so does this and so, and it goes back and it goes, and it's like, you know what? They're just hitting the damn puck back and forth. Leave me alone. I'm trying to watch the game. It'll be a lot more fun to call Tampa Avalanche because I have nothing invested. It'll be easier to call it that way. I heard it and I would have been full on cheering if you did. Love the emotion. It's hockey, damn it. That's what I'm talking about, Bernie. And I can tell you next year there will be no broadcasting on FPE Network. It'll be only on FPN Sports for all sports. I was doing it for emojis so that members could play along with the Rangers. From here on out, we will be on FPN Sports only for the broadcast. And then next year, that's all we'll be. I'm not going to tell you there's not going to be the occasional slip up. I get heated. I get emotional, especially during Giant Ranger games. I've been known. Just going to say it.
You've been put on notice.
The only thing I can tell you is I'll hover my hand over this so that just in case, I'll give you guys one of these and see if I can cover it that way. But so we got a bunch of stuff coming up, and once hockey's over, what's planned for you? You're gonna go back doing some regular programming, or what are you gonna be doing?
Yeah, we got a bunch of things in the pipe. If you're a Star Wars fan, I'll show you this because I know you're a Star Wars.
Am I a Star Wars fan? I have a show. It's called The Galactic Council. Damn it!
Hopefully the green screen won't mess with this. I've been sitting on this for so long that this Boba Fett Lego head, I can't wait to build this. So this is kind of coming up. We're doing a live Lego build. It'll probably end up being 2 because it takes so long to build those things. So there we go. Oh, there it is. Nice. Love the hat. I realized moving that box, I just moved my whole light here. So I'm going to have to fix that tomorrow. So we got live Lego builds coming up. We're going to go back to Canada's Wonderland, hit the theme park. We're actually going up north in a couple weeks. So we're going to stream from small town Ontario.
Are you going to visit Santa? How much further north can you go before there are polar bear?
Actually, not far from where we're going, there's a little theme park area called Santa's Village. No joke. So it is there. But we're going to stream from up there, do some nature walks, maybe go fishing, take the stream on a boat. And then just, we'll do something for the draft. And then August is World Juniors. So
you got it wrong. You don't stream on the boat. You get the stream off the boat.
Off the boat.
You got to, never mind. Yeah, World Junior starts in August, so that'll be good. So you're going to be picking that back up. We're going to be doing the draft theoretically if you're allowed to. We're working on that. I'm talking with Pete about it as well. We're going to try and get Crystal in for that to see if we can make that all happen. That's the 7th and 8th of July. So we got a bunch of stuff going on. You going to join us for Galactic Council?
Yes. I don't think I'll be able to make those 2:45 in the morning.
No. The watch parties are my insanity of doing those things. Like I'm the crazy person who does Obi-Wan's. Galactic Councils will be on. It'll be every other Thursday at 9:00. So this way, kids get to bed. We get to do some stuff. We wear Star Wars helmets. We're idiots. We do all kinds of fun stuff. As a matter of fact, my Stormtrooper helmet's behind me. And so there's a lot of times you never know whether or not I'm going to show up in it, or if you caught the Galactic Council last year, I almost got Crew thrown out of his house twice by setting up a camera, putting his name in front of it, and convincing his wife that the person who wasn't speaking was her husband. There was one time I had to talk Heather off a ledge. She was going to burn all of his Star Wars equipment. She was absolutely convinced he wasn't at work and he was on my show.
Amazing.
It was really, really funny. And I sat there and I said to her, I go, do you realize that the helmet that didn't talk, you're convinced had the personality of your husband? It was on a pillow, for crying out loud. So we had a lot of fun with that. So we're going to welcome you into the council, and you'll get into the opening on that. We're going to do it every other week just because why not? There's going to be a ton to talk about with Kenobi, with Ahsoka coming up, Endor coming up. So we got a bunch of that coming up. So you'll be joining the network for some of that fun stuff. And then, like I said, Sam and I are going to kick around some ideas about doing something with hockey, and maybe talking about the greatest games, the greatest series, the greatest players. Opening that up, we'll be inviting some folks to come join us. Maybe do some round robins. Everybody bring their A game, have some fun.
Or we could just get hockey-shaped ice cream cakes.
Dude, don't even tempt me. Get the puck out of here.
All right, I'm out, eh?
Let's see, if he wore the helmet in Game 5, he'd play. You got that right, Bernie. I'm going to tell you right now, I hope that Ryan Reeves actually does check out some of my streams. I tagged him in some of the most offensive things I could possibly think of. I'm hoping. So, but other than that, we got hockey for another 2 weeks, everybody. Game on. Let's just have some fun. Stick in with us for our games. Sam will be on Wednesday. I will, as well as Pete. We'll all be calling them from here on out. Pay attention to your local broadcasting. Turn off your volume. Let everybody know that we're doing it. Tell them to come in, hang out. It's about the hangout. It's about having fun. It's about watching Sam do his dance, watching the fat guy absolutely lose his mind as I scream at the television. And it doesn't matter, by the way, what team it is. I still yell at the TV. So if you want to see some guy absolutely lose his shit, just come in here, come hang out, have some fun. And we'll have a great time with it. If you want the PG version and you want an actual broadcaster, go see Pete. But other than that, if you want to join 12,000 other people who can't be wrong, where is he? Join that man. If you want to be with 6 other people, come see this guy. Oh, geez. Bernie, I'm open to it. All you got to do is tell us. I'll do anything. I don't care. We're just here to have fun. Here to talk some sports. Here to have some fun. Coming up on the FPE network in general, we have some amazing guests that'll be joining us on Thursday night. Jen has been park streaming, personal shopping, you name it. She's been in the park like every day. It has been a lot of fun watching her grow FPE on the network. We're going to be, I can drop this in here. We have some amazing superstars that are going to be coming on doing some interviews. I'm not going to tell you just yet who it is, but people involved in Disney movies, Disney things that are amazing. So you're going to want to stick to it because we have already booked 2 of them. So they're going to be coming up in July and August. So make sure that you're tuning in for everything that we have coming up right here. If it doesn't start with FPE, they are imposters. I don't even know what that means. Sam, another night of even strength in the books. We want to thank everybody for coming in, hanging out with us. This show eventually will catch on. And when it does, God help the world. I'll have to actually clean up my act. He's Canadian, so he doesn't have to go far. I just can't help myself. I'm going to have to get a mute button. But other than that, anything else that you want to leave us with? Words of wisdom, Canadian euphemisms, other than, hey, he took the last beer, eh?
In the words of Don Cherry, just throw it at the net. Let's go!
And also Canadian bacon is ham.
And Canadian bacon is ham, according to Bell. So with that, the birthday girl gets to say that just because it's funny. And you know what? Don Cherry cannot be one-upped. So with that, he is the natural. Sam Welb looks a lot like that guy right there. Get over there. Check him out. Go check out our other partner channel, The Pete McDevitt Show. Please go check out our partner channels. Absolutely amazing. My wife is in the park right now. If you guys have nothing else to do, go over to Florida Park Explorer. She's still in the parks as we speak. Park does not close till 11 o'clock tonight. Go check it out. I got to touch the cup. It was as close as I got to it this year. He is Sam the Natural. I am Dave the BearShark. We are even strength. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. We'll see you guys during the week.